It's the third Saturday of the month, which means it's time for TVGP's Game Club. I'm your host, Boston. I'm playing on the Switch. Joining me as always is Moonpear.
Hello, I am playing it on the Xbox Series X.
And Musum.
Hi, and I am playing it on PS4 Pro.
There you go. All right, look at that. We are playing Metro 2033 Redux. Before we get into how we feel about the game and its performance therein, let's talk about the details about the game and all the other good stuff that we do at the beginning here. Released 2010 for the original, August 26th, 2014 for PS4 and Xbox One, and then kind of as it gets ported to other stuff, it sort of trickled out through. The Redux came out on Switch late last year. The original was developed by published by THQ, RIP, and the latest one has been published by Deep Silver. Developed by 4A Games, came on PS4, Xbox One, Switch, PC, and Stadia. That's for the Redux one. I think this is the first Stadia game we've had on the show as well.
I was even interested in playing it on that platform.
Yeah. Time travel, Metacritic at 90, OpenCritic 85. Peers for this release date, Ollie Ollie, which is still a very good game that I am very bad at.
Mm-hmm.
The Golf Club, which
Another very good game that I'm terrible at.
Yeah. Previous Game Club game, The Swapper, which was a very good game. If you haven't played The Swapper, go back and play that and go listen to the recap show. It's really good. Pinball FX 2 and Diablo 3 Ultimate Evil Edition. Let's talk about the question we ask every month. Was this game top of the pile, middle of the pack, or overlooked?
Considering its peers, this was 100% top of the pile.
Yep.
And the reason I say that is because I blame this game for not so much the introduction, the reintroduction and the expansion of the Western world of, Russia does some good stuff. You should pay attention to these Eastern Europe and further east studios. I doubt we would have The Witcher as big as it is now without a Metro before it.
Right. Stalker before that.
I remember listening to, this game was talked a lot about on podcasts. Like, it may not have been super glowing, whatever, but it seemed like a few people played it and really dug it because it's, in 2010, I would argue that it did do some kind of innovative stuff in the environments, even if my overall opinion of the game may be that it's,
well.
We're not there yet, are we?
Right.
But I specifically remember hearing about it on the Joystick podcast and hearing them talk about it.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Vinny was a proponent of this from the Giant Bomb crew because he's the Eastern Bloc guy in that crew.
Right. It's like, it came out of Europe. All right, let's try. Came out of Russia. Came out of Poland. Let's give this one a shot. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's dive into what we liked, what we didn't like. I have one funny note about the Switch version. I did, learning from my past mistakes, I've done a significant amount of research. I'm watching YouTube videos. Everything looks great. So all right, cool. So I buy it on the Switch, I download it, fire it up. You get through the intro, you get to the menu, pick new game. It goes through the loading screen where the main character's talking. I hit the A button to continue, and it freezes. I was just
no.
Not again. Restarted my Switch and it worked fine. So I was just like, I swear to God, I have to say, ran it like a flawless 60 frames on the Switch the entire game.
So did mine.
Pretty incredible. So,
but the amount of teraflops I'm throwing at this game is if you're not running at 60, we got a problem.
Right, you should be running at 4,000. Yeah.
I know it's an old game, but I was consistently surprised at how I die and the load time was literally under a second.
Yeah.
Yep. I honestly, the whole time that whenever I died, I was like, oh, this is the power of the Series X. I'm literally the guy's starting the first word in that loading screen, and it's hit A to continue, and I'm like, cool. And then I looked, and it's actually installed on my external drive.
Oh, jeez.
Awesome.
All right. So, what'd you guys like? I don't really want to go first.
Okay, I have to ask first because this is going to be something that I will like if it's true. Boston, did this scare you at all? Like a little big baby man that you
No,
are?
no, it's not
Okay,
a scary game. It purports itself as a survival horror game, but it's
100%
not.
no.
It's not really. And like the only time that I don't. This isn't a fault of the game. The only time it really tries to be a horror game is every time you go to open a door, and like every once in a while there's an enemy behind, like, and it's just like,
Yeah.
okay, like you don't.
Mm.
No spring loaded cats come at any other time, so like you kind of expect that to be behind every door. But
So my favorite parts of the game were actually the non-combat parts. I love the little weird villages set up in the subway tunnels of the
The
game,
world
and
building, yeah,
it it felt fairly lived in, which I think
yes,
was very unique for 2010, especially. But like they crammed a lot of NPCs in there and a lot of chatter, and I like the absurdness as the further you get into the game. Oh, here's the communist state gone wrong, and here's
right,
of course, Nazis are back, and
right, right. Yeah,
um,
that's a good point. I did really like. I was expecting that to not be super interesting. But I think as the game went through, it was like, okay, cool. Like there's like these city states that are comprised of each of the subway stops on the metro line. Like that's a cool idea.
yeah. Like I think it might just be because it's based on a book, which you are told every single time you load the game that this is based on. The
Like
author is.
probably legally, where it's like this guy wrote, like they learned from The Witcher, where it's like, yeah, he wrote the book. This is based on it. Like,
a lot
Mhm.
of copies of that book laying around in game. Just
yes,
Yes, and posters and
yeah,
everything else that's going on, and I'm pretty sure there's a bunch of posters for like a book sequel that was probably coming out at the time because it's like
probably.
it's not called 2023 and it's not called something else. It's just like yeah, it's Metro, but it's not the Metro we're currently playing. So
Right.
something tells me that's a book. I mean, you're not wrong. I love the world building. Trying to look at this from today's perspective towards a game that was released 10 years ago, which is
Mhm.
mind-boggling to think that. I the voice acting is okay. Like all of the voice acting is fine,
Steve
but it is.
Bloom putting in a real good accent as Hunter.
But like, there's a lot of people where it feels like, yeah, you guys are not speaking your first language, and it
Right.
shows.
In like a kind of
And,
charming way, where it's like, all right, like this is, you're at
yeah,
least having a little fun with it.
it
and
was like a Russian accent of the quality of Colossus in the X-Men '90s cartoon. Like,
Right.
it's like they'll
Mhm.
say, "What? My job no good."
Right. It's just like, oh
Sean
boy.
Connery in Hunting Red October, whatever that thing's called.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. I mean, at least it was pretty good nature. Like it wasn't taking itself
Yeah.
super seriously.
Yeah. I thought I love the weapon design. We'll get into the actual use of the weapons, but the weapon design I feel was actually genuinely great. Like literally, there's a bunch of tubes and a bicycle pump or a
Yeah.
bicycle chain, and it's a shotgun.
And a
And
ton of duct tape. Like it's
mhm.
literally pieced together.
And the best thing is if you stand there and idle, specifically with the bicycle shotgun that you get, he leans it forward and then rings the bell, which is on the handle, and you go ring,
I
ring.
didn't run
It's
into
just
that.
like,
That's really good.
okay, that's pretty solid.
Yeah.
Conceptually, I love the pneumatic weapons. I love
Hmm.
the whole. That's part of the whole world building thing. Is I love the fact that you have that little hand generator that you have to charge up your lights with and your
Yeah.
night vision glasses. I love the hand pumps on the pneumatic weapons. It's like, oh, I'm about to get attacked, and my pneumatic weapon is at like red, like or rather like yellow on the gas thing. I better pump this up real quick because otherwise I'm gonna get boned.
Hmm. Yeah, like the
Uh,
fact that you had to interact with all this stuff, like you had to switch your filter, like these are things you had to do and interact with stuff in the world.
So
The wavy mask was good too.
That one
I
of my favorite parts, yeah.
I liked and disliked some of that stuff. So I like it in conception, and I liked occasionally
Uh-huh.
doing it. But like there was it was one of the missions where you're sneaking through one of the Nazi bases. My save game, like I basically it loaded and I had a mask with no oxygen in it, and my filter only had like a minute and a half left, and I had to sneak through. I mean, whether I was sneaking or shooting, I didn't have enough time to make it out of there, and I literally just had to restart that particular chapter to get it to work. And luckily, those sections are not long, so it only took me a few minutes to get back to where I was. But like that part was frustrating. The other thing I don't like about really the weapon system, like the weapons are cool, but because you can only hold 3, and it's not like they have weapon customization in it, which is cool, but to me, like I immediately customized my weapons and then never picked up another weapon. Because I'd already sunk money into it. So like I saw another character late game using that electricity gun, and I'm like, crap, I should have exchanged something out for that. Like,
yeah. Well, that's the best thing about like the church level is if the church level right before the final set of missions, the armory in there, you literally can just swap it all for free and upgrade all the new stuff for free. Like it doesn't ask you to spend any money, so you can switch out everything to like basically the end game guns, which I appreciated because that electricity gun is incredible.
Yeah.
You see, I looked at that and I thought, are these going to be better than what I have? I don't know. I'm just going to stick with what I have.
Yeah.
Like, so I have no, like, you know, they forced that flamethrower on you in that one part. So that's good. But like, I think my final loadout was a silenced automatic weapon someone gave me towards the end of the game, that flamethrower. And I don't know what this last gun was, but it was awesome. It was like a fast shooting shotgun sniper thing.
Was it the one that looks like a bunch of pipes in a circle, or was it the one that looks like an LMG that was fired shotgun rounds?
I feel like it would look like the LMG that fired shotgun rounds.
It's one of the weapons you can get at the church. It legitimately fires so quick, but it's just like he reloads it like an LMG2, where like he slaps the drum in the bottom, and then pulls up the shotgun shells.
You know what? It's not that one. It's one because all the bullets for it were on the side. So whenever he reloaded it, he would put the single bullets on
left
the
side, then right side.
I think so. Yeah.
I think that's like the 6-shooter shotgun. Yeah, that thing is stupid strong.
Wow. I really enjoyed using it.
You actually brought up something else, which conceptually I loved, which was the military grade ammunition. Like, genuinely a really good idea in concept. Never once needed to use it in my guns.
Yeah.
Like
because I kept using the same 3 guns, I ran out towards the end and had like, 200 currency in the military grade and kind of just switched over on one gun to it.
It happens.
Yeah.
I don't know what engine this thing is based on, but I do love the lighting as well. Like I think they did an absolutely fantastic job with the lighting in the game. Especially between like your headlamp, the different brightness it gets as it wears up and down.
It is their own proprietary engine called the 4A engine.
Okay. Well, it's a pretty solid engine then. With lighting. Maybe not with faces, but definitely with lighting. Having said that, I haven't played, the new one, whatever it is, Last Light or...
Exodus.
Last Light and then
Exodus. Yeah, I haven't played any of them, and those games look beautiful from what you've seen from trailers, but I haven't touched them.
Yeah,
I will say, story-wise, if I'm probably a good chance to transition here. Story-wise, I thought it was okay. Like,
yeah, it has problems. This is probably one of the instances of stretching the silent protagonist to its absolute limits, where it's sort of beyond believability, because it's sort of like, all right, well, this dude just died, so how am I going to get to this other place by myself and I can't talk? Oops, here's another guy. Okay, cool. And I was like, all right, he left me, so I turned the corner. Hey, there's another guy. All right.
It was kind of silly that they kept him silent. Like, RTM talked on the chapter screens. Like, he read the dialogue to you, and then you went in level, and then he wouldn't talk to anyone.
He talks over the ending, too. Like...
Yes.
Yeah. Good or bad ending, he's just sort of like, hey, man, it's the war against the Dark Ones.
I got the bad ending.
I ended up getting a good one, and that's a really solid ending, I think.
Yeah, I watched the good one. It was pretty good.
Do you know how you have to get that? That's insane how you have to get it.
Too much stuff. Not a lot of things you would discover naturally, I don't think.
Like, what is why would you ever be motivated to save the monsters in this world, though? Like,
because they're not actually monsters. They're trying to communicate, but I'm guessing because they exist on like a slightly different plane of existence or whatever.
Mhm.
Like their method of communication with humans is not ideal.
Yeah, it's
So
like
people just assume.
their
Like, are the
communication is the psychic attack stuff, where they're like
Mm.
just trying to talk to us, and we start attacking them, so they start attacking back in self-defense.
are the
Yeah.
dark ones different than all the monsters you fight throughout the game?
Yes.
Yeah, which is not
Dark ones are like
entirely
this
clear.
spindly. The guy who looks like the guy from Half-Life, except he's got no human face.
Well, right,
Mhm.
but like, are the monsters part of their group? Like, is this a
Nope.
No, they're
Half-Life
just mutants.
situation where they're all beaming in, or
No, I think I think that all the enemies are just mutants that happened after the nuclear fallout.
I don't. I had a lot of trouble following this. I feel like I missed a plot point at the very beginning, and I never really understood why RTM was carrying a message to Polis like the whole game. And then when we got to
Because
Polis, I
the
didn't know
story
what they
made him.
expected
Yeah.
to accomplish by another nuke, and I guess the story didn't work for me ultimately.
I think the only justification the game makes is Artyom and Hunter are friends. Hunter has asked Artyom to do this, so he does. Like
Mhm.
I think beyond that, it's just like, yeah, man, like get on the car, let's get going.
Yeah.
I think there's like in the diaries as well. Like he always talks about wanting to go out and be like Hunter, be one of the soldiers.
Yeah,
So like he's got the militarized fetishization thing going on, and that's why he doesn't tell his dad when he's going to go, is because his dad doesn't want him to be one of those people, but he wants to be one of them, and
yeah.
so it's that whole don't do what your parents say kind of thing because you want to
Yeah.
become one of the soldiers.
They're gonna tell you not
Yeah.
to be one of the Rangers.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I wasn't super fond of a lot of the subway stuff. I thought was crawling the tunnels. I thought a lot of that was really cool level design wise. What I did not think was cool was anytime you went in a building, the game wants you to almost do this zigzag up and down, back and forth thing that
Yep.
I just had to live by that stupid arrow like on your clipboard
Mhm.
in the game
Yeah.
because I could not figure out where the heck I was supposed to go the majority of the time.
Yeah, mostly I followed the light.
Yeah. Some of the buildings also had arrows like on the walls, but not 100% of the time.
Yeah. I mean, generally speaking, I can't think of anything else to really praise or pick apart from it. But honestly, for 10 years ago in the Eastern Bloc kind of area, this is a lot better than I would have expected it to be.
Yeah,
I know you're a negative Nancy on this game. I can tell.
I will
just
say this
from-
plainly: I didn't like anything about this game. I
No.
just the one scene I really did enjoy was where you're hiding under the train car going between the two camps, the Nazis and the communists. I liked that whole like really tense slow thing, but I feel like the game is, and I'm not 100% holding this against the game because I feel like this might be a problem on the Switch because the graphical quality is so low that so much of the game looked samey. Like it's all these tunnels and it's all this stuff. The stuff on the surface in Moscow, I think all that stuff looks super cool. Like this super snowy, destroyed area. But nearly everything, 95% of the game underground, I think is either too samey, or it's just super frustrating where it's, I'm going to use the shotgun against a bunch of essentially werewolves, and then I'm going to go through a portion that just isn't another section that they want me to do stealth on, and that stuff sucks. And it's 10, 11 years ago, like that was the design du jour, so like I'm not holding it against it, but it's just
Yeah.
one sequence after another where I wasn't having much fun at all.
I will say, like, you're not wrong, but that's the thing that's why I say, like, I'm trying not to hold anything against the game
100%.
based on its age, but also, like, at the same time, it's like the stealth doesn't really work. The combat doesn't really work. Like it feels as if they would have gone all in one side or all in the other side. It could have been easier or better to execute on.
100%.
Like, I think conceptually this game is great, and I think as a first game or the first game from 4A that I have played, it's actually it was their first game. Period.
Yep.
Like, I think it's actually not a bad game. Like, genuinely,
it's a good outing. Yeah.
It's pretty solid, and the fact that like Exodus came out 2 years ago makes me kind of want to just plow through Last Light just to see what it improves in the 3 year gap between them. And then there's like a 5 year gap to Last Light.
Yeah, because I feel like when you're looking at this game, when you're playing this game, I think the thing I struggled with a lot while I was playing it is I like certain elements. Like, I like the fact that there was a bunch of traps around the environment, so you can't just like bull rush through buildings. It's like, all right, you want to take your time, you want to really scour everything. Like, I think a lot of the survival part of a survival horror game where you're sort of scouting and scavenging, I think that stuff is really cool and it's well done here. But it very much feels like the framework, where it's like you kind of get where I'm building the world, we're introducing all these characters, we're getting all the terms and everything, and we kind of have the gameplay largely there, but you can see how this would be popular when it came out, and then you would sort of expect the next two games would take major leaps and bounds over each other to say like, all right, here's all the cool stuff from before, we cut out the stuff that was bad, gameplay is better, gunplay is better, etc. Like, and it gets better and better every time.
Yeah,
I really like a lot of the creative elements in it. Like I fall in a really weird place on this game. Like I feel like maybe I'm closer to where Moon is on this game than you, Boston. But I'm like, overall, I feel like it was kind of a bland experience for me. But I like a lot of the pieces that went into the pie. So it's like, it's not greater than the sum of its parts. Somehow it's actually lesser.
It's the parts are better than the sum.
Yeah. Like I'm fascinated by the world. I love the sense of humor. I actually started to enjoy how every new person that you started traveling with got killed, like later in the level.
Except for the spiritual guy.
Yeah. Who honestly, when he showed up again, I thought I saw him die with everyone else. Am I right? Oh, I guess we just parted ways that one time.
For me to clarify, I don't think this is a bad game. It's just one of those that, like, number one, I'm 100% not in the mood for something that's like dark tunnel crawling, oppressive sort of thing, and
it's preparation for the future.
And it's one of those ones that really, I can see that it's good, and I can see the sort of the good and the bad in it, but it's just one of those ones that I didn't really click with me, even though it is a solid game.
Yeah,
I feel like the Dead Space team would do really good with this game.
Yeah, I kept thinking fondly of Dead Space while I was playing it. Where it's like, man, God, Dead Space 1 and 2 were so good. God,
not gonna lie, after playing this game, I really wanted to go back and play Dead Space again.
I was just thinking, like, man, if I only had the laser cutter in here, I'd just be mowing these dudes down. Man.
Yeah.
Gosh, I need to replay those games again.
It's a very particular thing for me as well, because every time I hear the word Artyom, I hear Anton, and that just makes me think of the Nightwatch series, which Boston knows I'm the hugest fan of that franchise of books.
Very similar sort of weirdness in both the Nightwatch books and this game.
Yeah, and the fact that Nightwatch is also a Russian novel is hilarious too, because it's just like, what I wouldn't give for a good Nightwatch game. God,
that would be a really great game. Yep. Man. All right, any closing thoughts here for Metro 2033 Redux?
A perfectly fine game that has dated itself very well, and probably not the right time on the planet to be playing this game.
Right. Yeah.
It's all right. You probably already own it and don't realize it if you wanted to check it out. And it's not very long, and most of the levels are super short. Like 20 minutes a level short, maybe. Well,
Yeah,
maybe longer
it's
than that,
really
but-
There's
manageable.
a couple, yeah.
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 But
Yeah,
I don't know. It's okay. I don't know that I'm going to continue on down the line through the rest of the franchise unless we play it here. But
Yeah.
Which,
know.
let's face it, we won't. We got too many other games to get to here, so I
Yeah.
probably will be playing The Last Light.
Yeah, we'll live vicariously through you. Yeah, I agree. It's a fine game that is, a first-person shooter that's 10 years old. So that genre especially moves very quickly. So
yeah, especially when you get like the game-changing games all seem to come out in that genre. Like,
yeah,
look at what Half-Life did to it, and there's been like 4 more games, not to that degree, but
yeah.
And actually, real quick, it did go by the Half-Life rule, where the Half-Life rule is you never go to like a real cutscene, like where you're
It's true.
seeing
Yep.
the main character, and that's something that I regularly complain about first-person games doing. Like, just keep me in the cutscene. Like you're
Right.
letting me role play the character. Let me do the rest.
That's a good point. That they did that really well. Even though like a lot of times they'll just knock you down and someone will just have a gun to your head while you're watching stuff, but like it was still well done.
yeah. Also worth mentioning that the first game is based on the book. The second game is semi-based on the sequel. However, it's not the same kind of thing. But the writer of the book came on to write the story for the second one because it was similar to the book, but bounced off in a different direction.
That's cool. Interesting.
I heard he had like a video game in mind when he wrote it. Like that was part of the inspiration for Bullets as currency.
Right.
That wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about our next game. We're going to be playing a game called Late Shift. Came out on PC, Switch, PS4, Xbox One, and iOS and Android. This is one of Moonpier's favorite studios. What's the studio called?
Wales Interactive. And
Wales
this game
Interactive.
actually made my top 10 the year I played it. So
Yeah.
2017, 2019, I don't know.
Oh, wow.
It's a very short, highly replayable FMV game. It looks like it is a couple of dollars on every platform. And when I say pretty short, I mean like 45 to 90 minutes of playthrough. I'm really looking forward to this because we were talking here before we were recording. I was hoping we would pick something that is pretty different from what we just played, and I think an FMV game, sort of a multiple choice FMV game, is pretty much the polar opposite. So I'm pretty excited about this one.
It has 180 decision points apparently.
Holy crap.
Yeah, now you're talking my language. That's the good stuff. All right, so we'll play Late Shift for next month's episode. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Yep.